Everybody to the special council meeting for July 7th, the 5 o'clock meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We do have all council members in attendance this evening. We acknowledge that this land is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi people, and of the Huron-Wendat people. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and of all the original peoples of Turtle Island who have been living and working on the land from time immemorial. Any declarations of conflicts of interest from members of council this evening? Seeing none, if you find yourself in conflict, just advise us later. Looking for a mover and a seconder that we adopt the published agenda for July 7th, our special council meeting. Moved by Deputy Mayor Shepley, supported by Councillor McGuire-Blaze. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried unanimously. Reports from administration 5.1. We have planning 2025-14 rezoning bylaw or amendment for 265 Maidstone Avenue East in Essex Center Ward 1. And we will go to our junior planner, Ian Rawlings, to walk us through this report. Welcome, Ian.
Mayor, I believe we have a presentation to pull up as well, so just wait a moment there. Perfect, thank you. So, good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm here today to present a proposed site-specific zoning amendment for the property identified as 265 Maidstone Avenue East. The purpose of this statutory public meeting is to present the application, to hear the questions and comments from Council, the public, and to hear the merits or concerns in regards to this application. Next slide. Oh, that's the slide. Thank you. This property is located at 265 Maidstone Avenue East in the primary settlement area of Essex Center, identified via the red star on the PowerPoint. The property is designated residential in the official plan, and the property is zoned Development Reserve District 1.1 under the Town of Essex zoning bylaw. Next slide, please. The property has a lot area of 13,000 square meters, located in the primary settlement area of Essex. It is located on the north side of Maidstone Avenue East, just east of Gosfield Avenue. The property contains a single unit dwelling and accessory structures. It does not contain any natural heritage features. Items identified under the Ontario Heritage Act, is not located in a floodplain, and is not located within the Essex Region Conservation Authority's limit of regulated area. Next slide, please. So the subject lands were recently granted severance approval, resulting in the creation of 3 lots. The first lot is hatched in blue. It is the westernmost parcel, so it's the left-hand side on the image you can see here. The second parcel contains the remaining blue hatched area and the vacant property highlighted in yellow. So it's on the right-hand side of the image you can see. And the third parcel, which would contain the single unit dwelling and the accessory structures, is hatched in green. Next slide, please. So in the next few slides, I'll identify the proposed zoning application and why it's required. So as I had mentioned, the applicants were recently granted severance approval. And as a condition of severance, the applicant is required to amend the zoning designation of the subject lands from Development Reserve District 1.1 to Residential District 1.1. The condition was placed on approval of the severance applications as the DR 1.1 zoning district only permits lawfully existing agricultural operations and dwellings and requires that the lot width and lot area remain as existing. Therefore, the applicant is seeking to amend the zoning designation of the lands to Residential 1.1. This allows them to support the severance applications and permit the construction of low-density residential development on these lands. Next slide, please. Excuse me. In addition, the applicant is planning to construct their own dwelling and accessory structure on the larger parcel, highlighted in the yellow here, and is requesting relief from 2 sections of the zoning bylaw. This is section 14.1B10 and subsection 10.3E5. These 2 sections allow the accessory structure to be 232 square meters in gross floor area with a building height of 5.8 meters. All right, next slide, please. So next, we'll go through the policy that was evaluated for this application. So the first is the provincial planning statement, which currently supports the zoning amendment, as the current zoning district does not support any residential development in its entirety. Amending the zoning district to allow low density development, such as that found in the R1.1 zoning district, would support the severance application, and is considered residential intensification through redevelopment as defined by the PPS. Now, the PPS does not contain policy direction applicable to the requested amendment to allow for a larger accessory structure on residential lands. Next slide, please. So next, the subject property is located in the primary settlement area known as Essex Center. And primary settlement areas are considered the focus of growth and supports residential intensification through redevelopment. The subject's lands will be used for low-density development, which is reflective of neighboring residential uses along Maidstone Avenue East, and it appropriately utilizes available municipally provided services. Therefore, the County of Essex official plan is supportive of the application. Next slide, please. So next, we have the Town of Essex official plan, which does not contain policy direction for lands zoned within a development reserve district or any other similarly type of zoning district or designation. However, these lands are designated for residential, indicating that the area is intended for future residential uses. Now, the current zoning district of the subject land is not reflective of the land use designation under the Town of Essex official plan. The current zoning district does not support any residential development and only allows the continuation of existing uses. So therefore, the official plan, in going through its policies, is supportive of the amendments to the zoning bylaw so that these lands can be developed for low-density residential development. And as I had stated, supports the applicant's intent to sever and construct their own dwellings, and at the end, create 3 buildable lots. Now, the applicants have explored alternative development plans for the subject property, such as medium density and high density residential. However, due to servicing constraints, low density residential development was recommended for this site. Now, the Town of Essex official plan does permit accessory structures to residential dwellings. However, regulations to guide the implementation of these uses are not included in the official plan and are delegated through the zoning bylaw. Next slide, please. Next, the subject property is Zone Development Reserve District 1.1, which only permits, as I had stated, lawfully existing agricultural operations and dwellings, and requires that all lots, with respect to their area and width, remain as existing. Therefore, the creation of new lots and the construction of any dwellings is not supported or permitted within this designation. So therefore, the applicant is requesting to amend the zoning to Residential District 1.1. This is a standard low-density residential zoning district found throughout the Town of Essex and permits items such as a single unit, 2-unit, 3-unit, and semi-detached dwellings. All residential lots along Maidstone Avenue East are zoned Residential District 1.1 and are able to support the same low-density residential uses. Amending the zoning district for the subject lands would be reflective of the surrounding residential zoning districts. Next slide, please. Now, as detailed previously, the applicant is requesting relief from 2 sections of the zoning bylaw to permit an accessory structure that is 232 square meters in gross floor area with a building height of 5.8 meters, whereas the zoning bylaw prescribes a maximum size of 70 square meters and a maximum building height of 4 meters for an accessory structure in an R1.1 zoning district. Now, the intent of the 2 sections they are requesting relief for is to ensure that an accessory structure remains as supplementary to the main use of the property by limiting the gross floor area and height of the structure so that it remains smaller in size compared to the main use of the property as low-density residential. Now, the applicant details that the proposed dwelling, Yes, that the proposed dwelling will not have an attached garage and that half of the accessory structure will be used to store items such as equipment to maintain the property, store a number of classical cars, tools, and personal vehicles. And the remaining half of the structure will be used for hobby-type uses, such as woodworking, landscaping, etc. And the excess in height is requested so that the pitch of the roof will match that of the planned dwelling for the property. After reviewing the intent of the structure and the applicable site plan and elevations, Planning Services expresses no concern regarding the requested relief for the zoning bylaw. This was determined based on the size of the property being over 10,000 square meters in size and is approximately 27 times larger than the minimum required lot for an R1.1 zoning district. Now, the location of the accessory structure being 1.2 meters and from the eastern lot line being 11.3 meters from the rear lot line. This was also factored in as well. Next slide, please. Excuse me. So now I'll outline our circulation process. Next slide, please. So in accordance with the Planning Act, all properties within 120 meters of the subject lands were circulated for this application, including lands located within the municipality of Lakeshore, and public notice was placed on site. Now, no comments from the public were received regarding the zoning amendment at this time. Next slide, please. Now, we have also circulated all internal and external agencies, and we've received no objections from Infrastructure Services and no objections from IRCA. However, we have recently received one comment from the Chippewa of Thames First Nations earlier this morning, expressing no objections or no comments. This comment will be attached to the next report to go to council. Next slide, please. So now just to detail the next steps and our stance. So lastly, the applicants are in attendance to answer any questions that council may have. And after the presentations are complete, council may choose from one of these four options, being the first to adopt the bylaw for 3 readings. The second, provisionally adopt the bylaw for 2 readings, where the third and final reading is to be read at the July 21st council meeting. Defer the bylaw in its entirety until the July 21st meeting if more information is required or significant concerns are raised. And lastly, deny the bylaw, where notice of denial will be sent to the applicant and a 20-day appeal period takes effect. Lastly, through our analysis, it is staff's recommendation to provisionally adopt the bylaw for 2 readings, where the third and final reading is to be read at the July 21st council meeting. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and this concludes my presentation.
To see if there are any comments, questions from members of council. Deputy Mayor Shepley.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of questions. Accessory building, do you know if it will require any plumbing, like bathroom fixtures and things like that? Is that going to be part of it?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there's nothing in the zoning bylaw prohibiting the applicants from having plumbing or any type of fixtures. However, there is one section that prohibits any part of it being used for the preparation of food and those kind of items. Thank you.
Further to that, so if they were allowed to do that, would they still be permitted? I'm assuming they would still be permitted if they chose to put an ADU in their backyard. They would still have room to do that if they chose to later on down the line.
Mayor, yes, that is correct. They could construct an ADU. They'd of course have to abide by the zoning bylaw with other prospects, but yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all questions I have.
Any other questions, comments from members of council? The applicants are here in the audience in case we have any questions for them as well. Councilor McGuire, please.
Thank you through the chair. Once we make this change, if it goes through, if they were to open up a shop or a business out of the additional unit in the back, would that be allowed?
Madam Mayor, for this structure, no, they would not be able to use it as a shop or any type of home occupation. In our zoning bylaw, we have a section that details home occupations and their regulations. For them to have one in an accessory structure, or any individual to have one in an accessory structure, the site has to be more than 1,800 square meters in size, which this one is. However, A home occupation can only take up, must be in a accessory structure that's under 45 square meters entirely. So this one would not qualify.
Counselor Verbeek.
Thank you. Through the mayor, I guess, at the picture, I noticed that the very large building is very close to the property line. Are there any concerns with the neighbors? Is it as close to, the neighbor's house as it looks on the screen? And have you had any concerns from them?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to defer this to the applicant. They might be able to speak to this better.
Okay, thank you. When you get back there, just turn the mic on, please. And if you could just say your name as well for everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stephen Matthews. Through you, Mayor, I'd like to address Councillor Verbeek. Or yeah, right? You asked the question. Okay, so yeah, actually, the neighboring property is my father. So, and we are within the regulations of 4 feet from the property line, and that building back there is actually an outbuilding, like an accessory structure as well. So it's not the house at the back. So our two accessory structures will kind of be in line with each other.
Appreciate that. And through the mayor, I thought that was a very large building to be putting so close, but it makes sense if it's going to be a shared accessory building through family. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah. Okay, through you, Mayor, but addressing Councilor Verbeke as well. It's not like a shared, like it'll be on my property, and then that's a separate accessory structure. So like they're separate entities, but it's not having a garage right next to a house, right? You know what I mean? We set them back further away from the property so they're not an eyesore, and plus they'll be visually proper.
Counselor Guerin, and then I have Counselor McGuire Blaze.
You, Mayor. Just a couple of things. So it's hard to read the fine print on the drawing, but I'm assuming the lot that was severed west of the property is, I'm gonna guess it's at least 50 feet.
Through you, Madam Mayor, it does abide by the R1.1 zoning. I can't recall the exact size. I can look for it if needed or provide it in the next report if needed as well.
Further that, so I love the creativity. We have probably in Essex Center 3 or 4, maybe 5 properties that are kind of irregular like this that I've been hoping someone would do something with it. The neighbors on that county road may not share the same feelings as I do, but I think it's a good space for it. I just want to talk about the future because you're talking, the severance is going to allow them to, if I'm looking at this right and hearing what you're saying, they're going to build a home with a drive going out from Maidstone Avenue to the back. And then to the west of that new house is going to be 4 neighbors that there could possibly be 4 homes put on. Is that what I'm hearing?
Are you looking at the existing lots that are in front of these lands?
The applicant's going to have the ability to add more homes to this, correct?
Through you, Madam Mayor, they would only be able to have a single unit, 2-unit, or 3-unit dwelling, or potentially a semi. That's the maximum amount that they could have. But at the end, once everything is completed, or if the R1.1 zoning is implemented and the severance takes place, they could have essentially 3 units per lot in accordance with the zoning bylaw.
Lot, the yellow line is going all around the severed spot? That's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
that is correct.
In the future, in addition to this home and this additional accessory building, there could be more units in behind the existing houses, correct?
Through a detached structure, they could only have 1 ADU, so only 1.
Back to my original question, that entire space, what I'm looking at is what's going to be there. They're not going to be able to build on any of the property that's in behind the 4 existing residences on County Road 8.
Madam Mayor, they could technically move the dwelling, their planned dwelling, that they have depicted here. The accessory structure, no, they would not be able to move it, due to how we've written the bylaw, locking it into place. However, the dwelling, they'd still have to maintain things such as the 25-foot setback, or sorry, so 7.5-meter front yard setback, their rear yard setback of 7.5 meters, and 1.2 meters from their side lot lines as well. So that house could technically be relocated elsewhere. They could bring it closer or have it in line with neighbors, but there's nothing locking that into place.
Okay. I think I understand what you're trying to say. There's gonna be no other buildings but what I'm looking at, but they may not be in this position. Okay, that's all I need to know. Thanks.
McGuire Blaze, I'm going to go to Director Chadwick, and then I have Councilor McGuire Blaze, then Deputy Mayor Shepley.
Bondi. So for clarity, the applicant has been working with administration for upwards to about a year or so on potential options for rezoning. We did look at a higher density development, seeing it's quite a large infill lot, an urban lot, serviced by municipal servicing. And ultimately, due to constraints, we were not able to support anything more dense than an R1. Theoretically, it could have been, we could have seen something a bit more dense, maybe some townhomes, maybe some additional lots. You'll see 3 here, 2 new lots and 1 retained lot. Down the road, and I don't know if that is the proposal down the road, but you could theoretically see that those lots fronting County Road 8 could have lot additions to have longer lots. I don't think that's the applicant's, intent. It's the applicant's intent from today's proposal is just to maintain the retained lot as outlined in yellow for 1 single unit dwelling. And for clarification, by the way, the accessory structure in the back, if it were to ever be converted to an ADU, it would not only be required to meet the zoning regulations, it would also be required to meet the building code regulations for a change of use and a change of use for human occupancy. So at this point, it will be designed for an accessory structure, not for human occupancy. So all in all, what you see here is, yes, it is a gentle intensification of 1 large urban lot into 3 buildable lots. Thank you.
McGuire Blaze.
Thanks through the chair. I just forgot to ask, the driveway that we have, is that part of their property or is it an easement? Is that just because the slide before this, or like slide number 3 outlines it in blue, but it doesn't outline the driveway part between 283 and 291. So just wondering, yeah, that one. I thought when I first looked at it, I thought that was their property that we're looking to divide into 3 lots, but then we go and we see the yellow includes that lot in the middle. So I was just wondering, do they own that one as well?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, they do own that property entirely as well. They're merging it with the larger portion in the back through their severance applications.
If I understand correctly, for the low intensity, it says here something about the dwelling units. How many could they put as dwelling units in like a condo type thing on that property if they decide, hey, we're gonna scrap this single dwelling and we're gonna put up condo units? Just wondering what they could put.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just like any other R1 lot in an urban setting, one can build a single detached dwelling unit, which is now called in our zoning bylaw a 1 unit, single unit. They could also build a 2 unit. That means 2 dwelling units, separate housekeeping units in the same structure. They could build a 2 unit and a detached, and they can also build a 3 unit, which is again 3 separate housekeeping units. And they can also build a semi-detached, just like any other R1 property. Those that are even fronting County Road 8 could have that. So the lots that were previously up shown in blue and in the one shown in orange or yellow could see up to 3 units per lot. Of course, meeting the zoning regulations.
Yeah, that was what I was just curious. I'm still gonna support it, but I was just curious about that. Thank you.
Wondering about block 50. I see block 51 has houses and an attached unit. Can block 50 have the same?
Block 50 is completely vacant. There's no structures on it. It's all considered one property at this time, but they plan to sever that off as its own property.
All the questions, comments from members of council this evening? Okay, I think it's an exciting infill opportunity for our town. So tonight, we have a recommendation that the planning report be received and that bylaw 2457, being a bylaw to amend 1037, the comprehensive zoning bylaw for the town of Essex, to amend zoning designation for the lands known as 265 Maidstone Avenue East from Development Reserve District 1.1 to Residential District 1.1 and request relief from subsection 14.1 and subsection 13.3 of the zoning bylaw be read a first and second time and provisionally adopted on July 7th. Looking for a mover in a second, or moved by the deputy mayor and supported by Councilor McGuire Blaze. Any other questions, comments? So this is just past our first and second reading, and it'll come back at July 21st for the last reading. Okay. All right, all in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Looking for a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Councilor Hammond, Councilor Mady, any questions? All in favor? And that is carried unanimously as well. Thank you for joining us this evening.